Hey there, it's Mr. S, and I'm here to tell you guys how to do the assignments that I'm going to be sending home. This is going to be a video a little bit about how to set them up, how to look at them, and kind of how they're grouped up. So I want to have this video available for you so that when you go home and you're trying to work on these activities, you're not lost and it's very clear and cut. So this week we were talking about shapes, and I set up a bunch of activities I'm doing in the classroom, but I also encourage you guys to do at home as well. This video is going to show you step by step the different groups of activities that I created, how they're organized, how to ask the questions, what to look for, and what my thought process is while I'm setting them up. Before I get started though into the actual activities, I want to talk a little bit about what I find important when it comes to doing activities at home. So, oftentimes we worry about the product, and the danger is worrying about product means that there's going to be a deficiency if your child is not achieving to the level that you want to. I don't want to create self-esteem, doubt, or issues of I'm not good enough because I can't do it exactly right. We are not here to make children feel bad about not creating the best product. We are here to help children find the best way to get to as far as they possibly can at their level right now. You have to remember that I'm working with 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. There's a very big difference developmentally between a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old and a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old. Very huge. So you cannot expect a 3-year-old to produce the same quality of work as a 5-year-old. It's just unrealistic, okay? The 5-year-old has 2 years of experience, 2 years to grow to get to where they're at. Not saying that the 3-year-old can't achieve some really quality work, but don't have such high expectations if they can't meet the highest standard in the spectrum. Okay, so when we start talking about how assessment works, just because they can't reach the level of integrated, is what it would be called, when it comes to measurements, don't be worried. It's okay. They can be wherever they're at, and that is fine. That gives you a base to where to work from. So just remember, it's about process, not product. Be okay with wherever your child's at. That's important. Let them be 2, 3, 4, whatever age they are. Let them be a 3-year-old. Let them be a 4-year-old. Don't make them be a 5-year-old if they're not ready. Okay? So that's number 1. Okay, rule number 1, when you do homework assignments or you do anything at home, any kind of work, activities, make sure you guys are working with the child at their level, not that they're working at your level. Remember that, okay? And make learning inviting. I want to make sure that this is not going to be a process of sit down and do this work. That's not how learning is. Okay? I don't do that in a classroom, and I don't expect that to be done at home either. Sometimes it seems like the simple solution, but we're not. Remember, if something's simple, it's probably not the right way. We got to remember that philosophy. If we can remember that philosophy, that's going to help us in a lot of aspects of our life, but especially in our teaching. So I want you to be aware when you are doing an activity with a child to make sure that they're invited. It's not a forced process. And a couple ways we can do that, that I even use in my classroom, or I've used it with different children. Just start doing the activity. Just take it out. Don't even say anything to them. Just start doing it. Just start messing with, for example, I don't know, the shapes here. Just start messing with the shapes, looking at them, and oh, I don't even know. I wonder what shape this is. Just make it fun, and the kids will come to you. They will come to you saying, "Oh, Mom, Dad, Uncle, Grandpa, whoever's working with them. That's a circle. You knew it was a circle? Yeah, wow. What about this shape?" Make it fun. Make it engaging. Don't make it you have to do this kind of process, because if you make it fun and engaging, they will want to do it. They're coming to you, and they're going to remember, wow, I really had fun learning with whoever is working with them. Okay? So, make learning inviting. Don't make it forced. Alright, now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's dig into the different activities and how everything's set up. So the way the email's set up, when you look at it, there's the attachments, And the attachments, once you download them, because I think they're out of order when they're in the attachment mode, once you download all of them and you put them in alphabetical order, they're grouped up by letter. So activity A, B, C, D, E, F. The way you are going to approach this is just print out the documents that go together. So print out the A's, put them in a group. B's, put them in a group. C's, put them in a group. So if they have a letter in front of them, that means they're grouped up and they're going to go together. Now the things you're going to find in there, for example, let's look at group A. That's the first one I have here. There are 2 documents that go along with this group A. The first one will probably be the PowerPoint. So always print out the PowerPoints. That's the number 1. Print out the PowerPoints. The way I set this up is, one side is the object, or kind of just like a picture of whatever the activity or what we're trying to teach them. Now the other side is the letters that are associated with that activity. So here we're using our Phonics, and it says T-E-N, right? But we're using our Phonics friends to combine the reading process with learning new words. So now they're going to, instead of just seeing the T and not knowing how to pronounce it, they can go, oh, that's Timmy Tiger. Ellie Elephant. Nigel Night Owl. So we have a process here where children are actually able to take what they saw in the classroom and apply it to something new. So all I did was, and trust me right now, I'm going to let you know, try to use laminating sheets for everything, because if you laminate, it will last you a lifetime. I swear they're indestructible. I mean, I use these in my class every day. When something is laminated, it's going to last you a lot longer than if you keep it paper. Also, you can do cool things like what I just did, where you can flip it over and you can create something fun. So laminate if you can. If you can't, well, there's contact paper too. There's different things you can use. You could probably maybe even use one of those slide-in sheets. They're not going to be as effective though. Laminated paper is probably the best. You can find it really cheap. Walmart, you can get it easy, cheap laminate for like 20 bucks. Okay, laminate. It'll last you a lifetime. So for example, here we go. We got, these are 10 circles. We have the word 10 here. Okay, so this is one of the words we're working on. It just kind of came up in class, and we decided, well, why not? And we're talking about feelings too. So H-A-P-P-Y spells happy. So the children can see that H-A-P-P-Y, using their Phonics again, and then you can either do this way, hey, what? Can you read this word for me? What is it? Boom, happy. And then you can say, do you know what letters, how do we spell happy? H-A-P-P-Y. Is that right? Boom. So they're kind of like flashcards, but you can make them fun because these are things that they know. They know these from class. They can compare them. They can say, oh, I remember we did that in class. So it's not like you're just giving them some flashcards that don't mean anything to them. And let them be engaging with them. Bring these around with you. On the car, let them look at them. Ooh, find me your favorite word. Which one's your favorite and why? Talk to them. Make it fun and engaging. As I said previously, learning should be fun. Okay? We have another feelings, mad. Then we have sad, S-A-D. And you can even ask them, what letters do sad and mad have? And let them look at them. Oh, they both have alley alligator, right? So we can find ways to connect words. How do you feel today? Can you spell that out? Now, the other document that goes along with it is called it's called Watch Me Grow. So if you see that, I'm going to explain what happens. So as a teacher, this is what I use. This is the documentation I use to assess, to add to my assessment portfolios and evaluate where the child's at. So these are their activities, and I'm writing down what they're doing. Now, the reason I include these for everyone getting the emails, so that you guys can ask the same questions I'm asking in class. You guys can kind of get a feel, what am I looking for? If I send home a blank document, you might not know what to write down. So to help me out, and to help everyone else out that works in my classroom, I have these pre-made Watch Me Grow forms that just kind of tell you exactly what to ask. They show you, word verbatim, what to tell the child. So for example, it says here, teacher asks child to sound out words, right? So you are the teacher right now. You're going to be the teacher. So in this sense, you're going to ask this question, right? You're going to ask him, can you sound out the word happy, sad, mad, and 10? So see if they can read them. Now, if you look closely at this watch me grow form, at the end of the sentence, there's a number. That number is associated with the measures on the bottom. Now, if you're asking me where do these measures come from, look, I'm going to put in the description the DRDP. You're going to see the link in the bottom. All these measures are connected to that DRDP portfolio in some way. So you're going to go to the DRDP and you're going to say, which one's number 20? You're going to look up number 20. You're going to find it and you're going to say, where is this child at? There's different measures. There's exploring, developing, building, integrating. So you're going to have 4 different categories and you're going to see where they're kind of at. And that's going to give you an idea of where the child is developmentally when it comes to this rating tool. So the second part of this one is ask child to recognize letters. Okay, we're going to say what letters did they recognize when they read the word happy. So you're going to show them the word happy and you're going to say, all right, what letters do you see? Oh, I see H, I see A, I see a P, I see a P and a Y. So then you write down what letters they recognize, or you can circle them, or you can say which ones they didn't. So, and that applies, like I said, back to some other measure in their DRDP. So that way we can keep track of what measures we're asking. We're not just going and sitting down with an activity and just writing down whatever they're saying. We're asking because we have a specific task in mind or specific measure that we want to meet. So that's what these forms are for. They're for you to be able to ask certain questions at home and get responses so that you can evaluate where the child is developmentally. So that's Group A. All right, we're going to move on to Group B. So like I said, look on the email. If you have Group B printed out, I would even add like a post-it note for now just so we can keep track. But however works for you, works for you. All right, so let's read what this one's about. Teacher asks child to try and write out familiar words. Okay, so here's the deal. Do these look familiar? Happy, sad, mad, and 10. So consistency, we have the same words. Again, same pictures, right? But this time, they are blank on the back because there's a line at the bottom and we're going to write out the word. So, for a child that's still learning to recognize and remember the letters that are involved, we want to just give them the opportunity, if you have to, show them the letters. Let them copy the letters. Maybe they'll remember 1 or 2 letters. If they're more advanced, I've had more advanced children where they remember all the letters. Try to encourage them to remember, how do you spell 10? T-E-N. And have them say, okay, what does a T look like? What does the E look like? What does the N? Are those all the letters? Just like that. Happy. H-A-P-P-Y. So they have the letters already in their brain because they've already been practicing them. So now it's applying the letters. Okay, H, I know what H looks like. I remember an A. P, P-Y. Oh, that's how I spell happy. So now I can start breaking down the words and spelling them on their own because they've already broken down the words. Alright? So that's where we're at with this activity. We want to encourage them to write. And it's okay if they don't write the whole word. That's where they're at. So we don't need to get frustrated with the children because it's not their fault. They're only able to produce the materials that they're developmentally able to at that moment in time. Okay? So we don't want to be upset. If they only write 1 letter, that's fine. And then we have a goal for next time. Maybe 2 letters next time. And we can practice the letter E because maybe that one's difficult for them. Whatever it may be, just remember that let the children be where they're at, wherever they're at. Okay, let a 3-year-old be a 3-year-old, and whatnot. All right, we are Group C now. Now, Group C is a little particular. I kind of put this in there as a model more. Kind of what to ask children. It's not so much because you don't have the Raven book at home. If you want to order it, go for it. I can tell you more about it. The book, if you want to know about it, I'll let you know. I can put a description. If you really want this book, the kids love it. They love Raven. I've been reading it for 3 years now, and I've never had a class that didn't like Raven. So, yeah. Anyway, so what you do here is you have to find a familiar story, and you can do this with any book. You just have to change the way you ask the questions, okay? So let's read it out. Teacher asks child to point at the first and last word of a page. Very important. Can they recognize which one the first word is and the last word? Okay? We want them to figure out that these words on these pages have meaning. Okay? So have them point that out. That's related to measure 19. For example, it says concepts about print. Okay? So you see how they're understanding print and that from one reread one side to the other? So that's where these measures come into play. Teachers ask child to retell a familiar story. So if you see, I put in parentheses Raven. I put it in there so that I can say, I know what book I'm trying to evaluate. And it's just simple stuff. So for example, it says in the book, why do people feed Raven? And the children are using their comprehension to say, oh, well, this is why. They feed Raven because he brought the sun to help all the people. Or, how do you think the Sky Chief feels, right? How do you think he feels? So they're thinking about why these people have these feelings and what actions took place in the book because it's a familiar book to them. And they can say, well, maybe he was sad because someone took the sun from him, right? Or maybe he was happy because his grandchild became a bird and it was awesome. Who knows? So these are, like I said, these are all related back to measures, and there's specific reasons why I ask these specific questions. But simply, you could read any story and ask them, why did that happen? Or, how did they feel in the story? Or what would happen? What happens if you didn't give a mouse a cookie? What if you gave him a muffin? What would happen then? So you just have to be creative when it comes to asking about a story and just kind of encourage them. So encourage them to tell you what would be different and use critical thinking, okay? So that's Group C. All right. We're moving on to Group D here. This one's fun for everybody. So this one's really important, and I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to say right now that I'm going to put a link in my description, and I'm going to email everybody that's on my email with the link to the Phonics that I do A through Z, because this is super important if we want these kids to read. If we want these children to be reading and understanding comprehension and not just memorizing words, but breaking them down, which is super critical when it comes to reading. We don't want to encourage children to memorize. Memorization is never a good thing, unless maybe it's history. But we're not teaching history. We're teaching literacy, where we need to break down words so that they can understand what they're reading, and they can break down any word. Problem with memorization, it doesn't help you read new words. That's how it is. When they read a word and break it down, they can break down any word. And it might not come out perfect because, for example, rhombus is really hard. If you try to break it down, you have to kind of know that when the R and the H are next to each other, that's just what they sound like. It's silent. But at least they get the foundation of, I understand that words can be broken down, and not all words that have the letter M are my name, or letter B are my name, that there are actually different words out there. Okay, back to Phonics. So, this sheet right here, super important. Take it with you everywhere. Have the children practice it. This is like a key to unlocking reading, okay? This sheet right here has all the Phonics letters, but it also has them associated with the letter. So you see the animal friend and the letter. So not only are they saying, let's just take something here. I got the word shapes here. They can look at the sheet and say, oh, that looks like Sammy Snake. Oh, Sammy Snake, he goes like this. Right? Even though this is one of those words that you have to teach them, SH says sh. They're going to say s, ha, ape, s. So close enough, right? But they can break down using this as a key and say, oh, that's s, ha, eh. They break it down. And you've now given them the key to unlock language. So let's go ahead and dive into what questions you're going to ask them about these Phonics letters. Okay? It's kind of important. Teacher asks child to recite the name of the letter and sound. Use the Phonics sheet. Child's response. So the name of the letter is the first part. So can they recognize A, B, C, D, and what letters do they recognize? The second part is, do they know the sound? Okay? Because at one point we don't want them to say alligator, we want them to say A, but to remember that A is ah. So first we teach the sound, then we show the, with the animal, then we show the animal with the letter, and then they don't need the animal anymore. They already know A is A. So this kind of gives you an idea of what letters they know. What letters do I need to work on? So typically the letters that need to be worked on are like Q or U, or like different letters that we don't use as often as others. So there's going to be some letters that kids are like, any inchworm is one of those where they're just like, what? So practice them. You got a sheet here that you can, every day of the week, one day a week, Mondays, go and check it every Monday and see where they're at with the letters. See if they know any new ones. So that's Group D. Super important, parents and everyone else who's receiving my materials. Super important. All right, we are in the letter F now. Oh, I go all the way to E. Okay, cool. F. Here we are. All right. So let's read it. It says, teacher asks child to find a familiar word. Child responds. So what we have to do here is we want children to start recognizing familiar words when they're reading. Okay? It's kind of like the whole memorization thing, but more of how to depict language. So the way I set this up is I set up a couple, like 5 to 6 words in a sentence, and I want the children to recognize and find familiar words that they have. So let's look at the first sentence. It says, the dog was happy to go outside. They're going to recognize which word? Happy. So they're going to see happy and say, oh, that says happy. And that's great. That's what we want them to do. We want them to pick out words inside of sentences. So not only is it just one word, but we have sentences now, but they have, each word has meaning. So even if they don't know all the words, it's fine if they pick out the one that they know. That means they're recognizing and seeing patterns. The boy was sad to leave. They're going to pick out the word sad. I am really mad at you. Boom, mad. And I can see 10 children. So we're giving them a little bit of puzzle because there's a lot of words in there, but if they can pick out the words that they know, that means they're recognizing, patterns. They're seeing, okay, well, if I see that word and I know that word and all this jumble of letters, that's the word I know. So we want to teach them how to pick things out. So that's that. That's number F. Number F is very simple. Print out the sentences, have them figure out what words they know. Or if you're reading a familiar story and you see the word happy, sad, mad, or whatever, see if they find it. Ask them to say, can you find the word sad in this page? We want to encourage that. And the last one, letter E, Group E, is this is probably one of the more complex ones because there's so much papers, there's like so many papers associated, so much paperwork with it, but it's really simple. So all you gotta do is print out the Word document, print out the PowerPoint, and you're pretty much done. This activity says, teacher asks child to match the word with the shape. Teacher asks child to recognize shape and compare 2 of them. Boom. Simple stuff. It's a matching game. That's all it is. You got a bunch of shapes in here, and you got a bunch of words that go with it, have the name of the shapes. So one of the documents that I did not send home, which I will email everybody, is this one. It says shapes on it, and it has the shape and the name on there. Just a simple way. So pentagon. It says pentagon right here. So this is a good way to kind of get the recognition going. So this is level 1. You want to start here, and I'll send that home to everybody. And that's easy. You just print that out, and it's self-explanatory. It tells all the shapes so that you are practicing the same shapes that we're practicing at school. Okay, so we got the shapes, and what I'll do is I'll set up the shapes, and you can change it up. Like you can do the names and then the shapes, whatever. So we set out all the shapes and we'll put them out, and then I'll ask the child. So we're not going to put them all out. We'll make some room. There we go. And I'll just be like, oh, look, what word is this? Can you figure it out? Great time to pull out this Phonics sheet. Pull that out, and bam, they're giving them a head start there, an advantage, because they can kind of break down the word. So you take out this is the phonics sheet and the letters. Hexagon. Boom, hexagon. Encourage them to break down the words, okay? Hexagon. And maybe they might already know it says hexagon. Oh, now you're like, which one's the hexagon? Well, the pink one's the hexagon. Boom. All right, we got it. You know, we got the next one. Oval. Oval. You can ask, you know, which one's the oval? Oh, that one's the oval. So, simple stuff. They got rectangle. Boom. Pentagon. Circle. Rhombus. Triangle. Square. Okay? Next part. Just have them pick two shapes that they like. I don't know. Triangle and circle. And have them compare them. Okay? They can say things like, oh, the triangle has 3 sides and the circle has no sides. The circle's a round. Or whatever they want to say. They could say, oh, when you put 2 triangles together, it makes a square. Or you can say, if you stretch the circle, it makes an oval. Anything like that, that's fine. You could say, you could compare the corners. How many corners does this one have compared to this one? Anything like that. That's great. So you want to talk about edges and sides and just comparing things. You can even ask them, where do you see this shape in the world? The other part about shapes, don't get stuck on 2D shapes. Okay, I'm going to make another video soon about 3-dimensional shapes and how to teach that, because I've been teaching that in my classroom and it's working phenomenal. Don't get stuck on 2D shapes. This is only for now. Once they get the 2D shapes down, move on. Because what happens is we get stuck on these 2D shapes, and when we could be teaching them way more about shapes than 2D shapes. Because yes, we have a lot of 2D shapes in the world, but more often we have more 3D shapes that they can recognize, because 2D shapes make 3D shapes. You know, you put 6 6 squares together and it makes a cube. So for example, in my class right now, the children are not just recognizing, if you compare a child that hasn't learned 3D shapes to a child that's learned 3D, they see the world differently. A child that's learned the 3D shape says, that's a cube, when a child that has only learned the 2D says, oh no, that's a square. So you can see which one's more relevant to the world. The child being able to recognize the whole object and seeing beyond the simplicity of just one shape says, well, when you put that shape together, it makes something else. Same thing with, it's like counting, you know. The number 52 is not 52, it's 52. So when you put things together and they look at the big picture, they understand concepts more concretely. So that goes along with the shapes and everything else. It's like teaching kids only the letters forever and never teaching them what a word or a sentence is. So we want to go beyond the letter, we want to teach them the word, we want to go beyond the word and teach them the sentence. Same kind of idea. Go beyond, always think the next step. Don't stay in the step. If they're getting 10 out of 10, move on. Find something else to talk about. Find bigger shapes. Whatever it is, never limit children and stop them once they've achieved something. You gotta always look for the next step. Okay, well, that's all the activities that I've had for this week. I'm sure I'll have more coming up. I'll make these videos so that we can be on the same page of how to set up these activities, and if you have any more questions when you come to the classroom, or if you're not in my classroom, email me. You're still going to get all the information that I'm giving out, and trust me, I reply. So, any questions about development, if you have any questions about other activities or other things that concern you, let me know. I'm here for you guys. We're a team. We're a community of teachers and parents and anybody else associated with children, okay? You guys, happy learning. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.